Probably the reason that God put me in that situation in order to be able to expose really what's going on. And so every time I've gone to a Nevada rally and notified the police, it's been a non-issue. They've thanked me for the courtesy of notifying them. They've said, obviously, you can't take your firearms. I wouldn't even think of doing such a stupid thing. And they've been fine. They've been fine. And the critical mistake I made is, I guess, forgetting the location that I was in California. So I drive up with my special entry pass. And by the way, they're saying I had a counterfeit pass. That's a bunch of nonsense. I could prove that I had a special entry pass directed to me, sent directly to me.
Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. Today, I have some breaking news. Of course, you all have probably heard about what happened over the weekend, Saturday in Coachella, California, that there was a so-called third assassination attempt on President Donald J. Trump's life. His name is Vin Miller, but I have since gotten an update, and these are statements from the suspect himself. Before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell. Watch the video to the end. Now, Saturday, Coachella, California, police apprehended this 49-year-old Vin Miller. Now, we were told by Sheriff Chad Bianco, who is the sheriff of Riverside County, which encompasses, numerous cities, including Coachella. Sheriff Bianco was stating that this Vin Miller was in his possession had a lot of unregistered firearms, a shotgun, handgun, maybe another type of weapon. He also had a vehicle. He was in a vehicle that was sold to him, but it was not registered to him. So he was in an unregistered vehicle. And we were told that he was in possession of multiple passports and IDs that had different names. So this guy looks suspicious, to say the least. Well, he was arrested. He was taken to jail. He was booked. He was released on $5,000 bond. Okay, so he's released. He's no longer in jail. He's no longer in custody. He's supposed to appear later at a court date. And that is yet, to my understanding at the time of this recording, it has yet to be set. So that looks very suspicious. And that was really what was going on. In a nutshell. Well, I get up today, and just a few moments ago, I see that this Vin Miller, who is a resident of Las Vegas, by the way, he was at the RNC. I did my live stream on this. I did a breaking news live stream. This man has been at the RNC, and he, by all accounts, appears to be a Trump supporter. Well, here is what he has to say in this clip right here. Check this out. So right here it says that Vin Miller, the man accused of a so-called third Trump assassination attempt, denies these reports and pushes back in a statement released online. Miller states he is a Trump supporter who was invited to be at the Coachella rally. He adds that he told officers he had loaded firearms in his trunk. Furthermore, he is threatening lawsuits over defamatory statements and alleged police infringement of his rights. Now, remember, we were told by Sheriff Chad Bianco that this man was in an unregistered vehicle and was in possession of unregistered firearms and multiple IDs and passports with different names. So let's hear what Mr. Miller, not sure if that's his real name, but let's just see what he has to say.
And probably the reason that God put me in that situation in order to be able to expose really what's going on. And so every time I've gone to a Nevada rally and notified the police, it's been a non-issue. They've thanked me for the courtesy of notifying them. They've said, obviously, you can't take your firearms. I wouldn't even think of doing such a stupid thing. And they've been fine. They've been fine. And the critical mistake I made is, I guess, forgetting the location that I was in California. So I drive up with my special entry pass. And by the way, they're saying I had a counterfeit pass. That's a bunch of nonsense. I could prove that I had a special entry pass directed to me, sent directly to me by officials within the Republican Party of Nevada. I was an actual invitee to that event. So as I'm driving, there's an area where you enter the parking lot after you pass a sheriff. I pull up to the sheriff. I say, I should take that back. I'm not 100% sure he was a sheriff. He was wearing a sheriff vest, but a lot of those individuals were. And my assumption is that not everybody there was a sheriff. They were just trying to indicate that they work with the sheriff's department. And so I drive up to this sheriff and I tell him that, in full transparency, I just want to let you know in the back of my truck, I got, 2 lawful firearms, purchased lawfully, registered lawfully. And I'm just letting you know that that's back there as a courtesy, which is a courtesy that I always do. That police officer asks me to pull over. So I pull over, and just so everybody's clear out there, it's not like they found that I had firearms or did an investigation, blah, blah, blah. No, the body cams and the evidence will expose and reveal that I myself drove up to the sheriff and gave him the common courtesy and respect of letting him know about the firearms I had in the back of my truck.
My question is honestly to this man here, Vim Miller, is that why would he have all of these firearms in his trunk to begin with? Why would he have them there? Also, he is in full. Now, I haven't looked at this video yet. This is really like a really true first time reaction. So my question is, about the 2 previous assassination attempts on Donald Trump's life, but you go to a rally in California with loaded weaponry in your vehicle, we were told was an unregistered vehicle. We were also told that he had fake VIP passes, which he says that's not true, that he was given these passes by the Republican Party. So my question is, why would you drive into this event with all these loaded vehicles, knowing the situation and that there is high alert surrounding Donald Trump based on what he's already been through? Okay, we know what happened July 13th. We know what happened September 15th. Okay, so this man, Donald Trump, has already had 2 prior assassination attempts, possibly more, allegedly, from what you all have commented in my comment section. But my question is, why would you just be at a Trump event with weapons that we were told were unregistered? You said they're registered, that they're lawfully registered. So I'm not understanding. And even if they were lawfully registered, why are you showing up at this event with these weapons, knowing what has already happened, knowing that we're on high alert? And it just makes no sense to me. So somebody make that make sense.
At this point, they make me pull over. A police officer comes to my window. And what I have to say about this particular moment is that knowing how some police officers behave, and I'm indicating that they behave in a fashion where they seem to not understand the laws and the Constitution, I'm usually more armed and alert. But when I was arriving there, I wasn't feeling well. I have certain health demands, I guess you could say, that require me to regulate my blood sugar level and also require me to have basically my water bottle, which I'll put a couple of different supplements in there that whenever I'm having issues and I feel like my blood sugar is all over the place, I drink some of that stuff and it helps me to regulate it, right? At this moment, I certainly wasn't feeling great. I wasn't at my sharpest. And when this police officer came to my window, I rolled the window down and he asked me to get out of my car. I got out of my car. He asked me to turn around, put my hands behind my back, which is what I did. He handcuffed me at that juncture. I said, "Why are you handcuffing me?" He said he's doing it for his own protection, which, we could talk about that topic as well, because I don't know ever in the history of humankind where there's been an individual like me that's rolled up and said, I have 2 firearms in my trunk, clearly indicating that I'm not there to cause any problems. I'm not there for anything nefarious. But nonetheless, this police officer felt threatened when he's the one with a firearm right then and there. But I complied with him. I complied with him because my impression of most Trump rallies was that the police officers there were respectful of the Constitution. and appreciated that I was upfront about the lawful firearms within my car. At this point, they put me in the back of a police car, which is scorching hot. And frankly, I'm feeling faint at this point and having difficulty speaking. I've been driving for hours. And frankly, I had to go to the bathroom very badly, to a point where it was giving me a headache and my blood sugar being off, me being in the back of that truck or police car in the scorching heat, which was akin to a sauna, was really causing me health problems, causing me heart palpitations, causing me breathing issues. And they just stuck me back there, closed the door in this sauna-like police car. And it came to a point where I had to start like knocking on, well, I should say knocking. I was hitting the door with my feet because my hands were handcuffed behind my back. And I'm just like trying to make noise so that I could get their attention, because I've been inside there for an hour. And if you could imagine, with your blood sugar all over the place, heart palpitating, being in a sauna-like environment is not the healthiest situation to be in. I actually felt like I might faint and be hospitalized. And finally, the police officers come there. I pretty much begged them to get my water, which has 2 supplements in there that could have helped my health. They refused to, because they're like, what if there's something in there? And I know what they're trying to indicate is that like there's cyanide or something in there, and I'm going to drink some of it and off myself, because they were onto this insane theory that I was there to cause harm. And so they refused me what I needed, which was my medication. They kept me in the car. They did turn on the AC after what was hour, I don't even know. And it's hard for me to know the exact time. It could have been an hour, it could have been an hour and a half of this torturous experience. I don't know, because frankly, I was too lightheaded and I was almost fainting. When I explained to them what was going on, they said, we could take you to the hospital. I'm like, rather than take me to the hospital, what if you just get me my water? And they refused to do so. And they gave me, one of the police officers put water in front of my mouth and poured it in there and stuff. Eventually, they did give me my water bottle, but that was hours later. So at this juncture, I'm in the back of the truck and I'm demanding from this arresting police officer that I get my one phone call, which he refuses. He also refuses to tell me what's going on. He does ask me, well, he does come up to me and say that, and this is again reflected by the body cameras, which we're going to be doing a FOIA request on, or I should say a FOIA demand. There was another avenue to this, which is internal affairs report, that I was told it was a way to go and attain those body cam recordings. So what this body cam will expose is that this police officer came up to me and he basically said that, look, we just want to make sure your law firms are properly registered, that they're lawfully purchased. I say, sure. I tell them the exact locations of the firearms. I tell them they're welcome to grab the firearms and I have nothing to hide. And this was done under the guise of they just need to run serials to make sure that this is part of the National Registry and that it is indeed my firearms. Well, next thing these guys do is that they completely ransack everything in my car. And when I say ransack, I had 3 suitcases in there, including clothes, including crucial medication and supplements, including my laptop computer and iPad, camera equipment, tripods, recording equipment, basically all the equipment I would need in order to produce content. And to be very clear, I wasn't there under media. I was there as a special guest, and I wasn't taking any of that equipment in there because I was not there as media. But I had been in Los Angeles prior, and that evidence will show that I had gone from Nevada to Los Angeles for the purpose of attaining content, and then I went to Coachella. So I just happened to have this stuff in my car, which is all my equipment, hard drives, and all the things that I've stated. And so at this juncture, They go into such forensic detail with tearing my car apart. There's bomb sniffing dogs there. They're looking at the serial numbers. They're opening up everything in my car. I mean, they're checking the mufflers. They're checking underneath it because obviously they were on this, frankly, idiotic notion that I was there to cause harm. And mind you, the right thing I believe to have been done is when I asked the police officer, hey, I have firearms. And I actually said, like, when I first drove up there, I said, look, if it's an issue, I could do a U-turn and go away because, I understand, because I could tell from his reaction that he wasn't reacting the way our Nevada police would have reacted to that sort of comment. And I said, look, man, I could just turn around and go, man, I don't even need to go to this rally, but they chose to have me apprehended and arrested, right? So they ransacked the crap out of my car, and lo and behold, they find absolutely nothing. I think it was clear that this was an attempt to find incriminating information or evidence upon myself, because carrying a firearm is protected by our Constitution. And say they found other, something nefarious in there, that would clearly be a way to justify what they're doing.
I'm confused. I mean, I really am because I'm still stuck on the fact that you are attending a Trump rally of a rally of a person that has been shot at twice, and you are literally going in here. He says that the weapons were registered. He's saying they were lawfully registered. I was hearing differently with Sheriff Chad Bianco yesterday when I did a live stream. You guys can go check that out. It's got lots of information on there. It's hard for the public, the general public, to truly know what is going on. I mean, you are talking about the president, the former president of the United States of America, who has survived numerous assassination attempts, and you're literally going to go into an event with weapons, loaded weapons. Okay, I just can't begin to understand why he would do this. Now, I'm looking at him. I'm looking at his body language. I'm trying to tell if I believe him or not. He seems sincere. That maybe that's why they ended up releasing him on $5,000 bond, because they realized this was not what they thought it was. But the fact that the authorities were checking his vehicle, ransacking it, checking everything, arresting him, to me, in my mind, they're doing their due diligence. I don't have a problem with that because what has transpired previously, I'm sorry, I just don't have a problem with it because Donald Trump has already, as I've stated numerous times, he's already survived a few assassination attempts, a lot of assassination attempts. So of course people are going to be on high alert. Of course, if you say, "Oh, I've got some, weapons in my vehicle," just wanted to let you know, of course they're going to stop you and check your vehicle, arrest you, ask you all sorts of questions. They should. I don't care what anybody else thinks. That to me, based on what has already happened, they absolutely should. This is doing what they are supposed to do. Now, I'm sure it didn't feel good, but people, we need to think about what we're doing. Come on. We've been through enough with all this crazy stuff. So let's hear what else he has to say.
But there was no justification. During this time, I hear this arresting officer call me a maggot and one of those dumb Trump people to a female officer. And he didn't know that I had overheard what he said. And at this point, it becomes very clear that this arresting officer's goal was to make an example of a Trump supporter, was to persecute a Trump supporter having nothing to do with the law. That was very clear by his behavior, by how he spoke with me. And so they tear my car apart, and clearly they find nothing. Then this arresting police officer comes back and says that they're going to throw me in jail and that they're going to impound my car. Tow truck comes eventually, takes my car with all my equipment, my clothes, my medication. And this clothes that you're seeing me wear, the jeans that I'm wearing, I've been wearing for now, it's the third day after spending 4 hours in a car at least 1 to 1.5 hours of which was a sauna. So you can imagine Coachella, I'm standing outside sweating. I'm inside a car, I'm sweating. So right now I feel gross, to be very clear. And so they take everything, they impound it. Okay. Now, this arresting officer comes up to me and says, the Secret Service and the FBI want to speak with you. Okay. And this is when his narrative started, I guess, falling apart, because he told me that, there's a serious situation. There's been assassination attempts on Trump, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to investigate this. They're going to interrogate you, blah, blah, blah. Right. And so now we're about 3.5 hours into this ordeal, I would approximate. And this arresting officer drives me to an RV where the feds and the Secret Service are stationed. Now, what occurs to me is that the fulcrum in all this event is this one arresting officer. He's the one passing information to the feds, to the Secret Service, and he's the one coming back to me and relaying this information, although it was very clear that he was skewing this information. So, and I'll explain why. So we go to this RV. He steps out of the car, and at this point, as hot as it was before, now it's freezing inside the car. Just a little detail, I'm talking like, and by the way, I'm in sandals and a shirt because I showed up for desert weather, and I'm in this freezing cold car. I would approximate now it's 6:30-ish or so p.m. He walks out of the car. He has a conversation with individuals that are Secret Service and feds. And he's in this conversation, which I'm watching through this kind of grid that they have in the back of the trucks, that kind of prison grid looking thing. I could tell from the reaction of the Secret Service and feds that they're just not kind of buying his story. They seem very disinterested. And what I would also assume, and all of our research, the FOIAs, the body cams, all that stuff's going to reveal this, because this is going to turn into a major lawsuit. And I'll tell you how major this lawsuit is in a moment. So in this interaction, they seem very disinterested, right? And I could tell that they're not buying his bullshit. I could tell that, these are, you have smart officers, you have smart authorities, and then you have not very smart ones. And I could tell that these guys were a lot sharper than this arresting, fool, I would say. And then he comes in the car and he says, well, they're going to come to the police station and interview you. Okay. By the way, at this point, we're, now 4 hours into it, and I've been asking to speak with a lawyer, get my one phone call, and he's refused to do so. Which, by the way, I never got my one phone call. They did not allow it, okay? So I then am taken to the police station, and I'm taken into a room where essentially it's a 6-foot glass barrier between this holding area and where all the police are seated in front of their computers, right? And I'm reading the penal code over there. There's a penal code on the wall that says that immediately upon request by the person that's being detained, they're supposed to give my one phone call. But again, over and over again, this officer refuses. And at this point, since I told you they let me have my water with my supplements in there, now I'm feeling a little bit better, okay? Now I'm feeling the savage come out, because I know what this guy's doing, okay? And so I stand up, and by the way, I'm chained to a bench, so when I say I stand up, I mean I pretty much stand up in place, and I say, listen, man, this penal code right here, and I read him the penal code, how immediately upon request, I'm supposed to get to speak, to get my one phone call, which I was going to call my lawyer, right? And I say it over and over again. And the FOIA requests and the body cameras will reflect that while I was in that holding cell, I'd approximate an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I was repeatedly asking for my one phone call, and this so-called officer was refusing to give it to me, making every single excuse. And so then I turned to the other police officers and I said, listen, guys, because now my brain's coming back, okay? And I understand law much better than most documentary makers and content creators because I've actually studied law. And in fact, that morning I was listening to law classes, which are available on my computer and verifiable before I even drove out, which is like what I do on my spare time. And the reason why I do this stuff is because through doing a lot of content, I've realized that, you know, this officer who I believe is a corrupt and criminal individual who's operating under the color of law, a lot of them exist out there. And after having seen multiple aspects of corruption, some that affected my life deeply. And there's a story to that too, because one of the reasons I even got into this is because of immense court corruption by a woke Canadian judge. I won't get into the details of what happened there, but at this point, I'm going to be sharing all these stories because I want you to know where I'm coming from and why I chose a certain direction in my life and gave up a very healthy and rising six-figure salary in Hollywood to do this stuff where it's very difficult.
Okay, so this is Mr. Vim Miller. This was just a few hours ago at the time of this recording, and this is what he says. He's a documentary filmmaker. He's a content creator. I'm very interested in these comments. The California arrests were not immediately available. Another man, an Iraqi national who was singled out as a hit, quote unquote, by police dogs trained to identify explosives, was also turned away from the event, Sheriff Bianco said. And these are just some comments. It says they could be going after him for helping expose the government attack on the Bundy Ranch. That's what someone said. I don't trust this guy or the police. If he was MAGA, he'd still be in jail. Fact. He's driving around California with loaded weapons. Nobody is that stupid. He's a bad actor who accidentally got caught. Story doesn't support being MAGA at all. We don't go to rallies loaded for battle. One firearm if you're in a blue state, which you were, yes, but you're in California where they can't be loaded in the vehicle. We don't have fake plates, fake licenses, etc. This equals likely a distraction and water down the other previous attempts. How are you out already posting? And then someone else said, I knew it wasn't an assassination attempt as soon as I saw how fast the mainstream media reported third assassination attempt. Someone else is saying this is looking more and more like a government retaliatory action against a Trump supporter. The problem is that no one trusts the government anymore. And then someone says, we need to get to the bottom of this fake past stuff, considering the Trump campaign proactively said he wasn't an assassin. I'm inclined to believe his past was legit. Sounds like he's not quite a lawsuit to file. This is just strange to me. I don't really know what's going on. The comments are all over the place. Some people say they don't believe this guy. Like, why do you go into a rally? That's where my mind is, with loaded weapons, knowing that we've had 2 assassination attempts on this man, Donald Trump. And then also when I look at him, it looks like he's being truthful to some degree, but it's so hard for me to tell. But they also let him out very quickly. So I'll just stay on this, Warriors. I will stay on this, but this is just really all over the place. And I was in the comments of one of my videos, I think it was the live video I did, was like, there was really another man, an Iraqi national that was detained. And he's Vim Miller, who I just showed you, is more like a distraction. So gosh, who knows what's going on here? But I thought I'd share this with you. And a lot of people just don't believe this guy's story. And some people do. They believe this is like a government distraction against a MAGA person. But this MAGA person is doing things that, in my opinion, I got to say, are questionable. And some of you believe that this is government related or whatever, but I don't understand the fake passes. I don't understand the unregistered guns, the weapons that were stated that they were unregistered. I'm listening to Sheriff Chad Bianco, and you guys said you had your comments about Sheriff Chad Bianco. He's the sheriff of Riverside County in California, which encompasses numerous areas, including Coachella, where Trump had his rally. And you all don't really trust Sheriff Chad Bianco. I was looking at the comments in my live video. Go see my live on, it says third assassination attempt on the thumbnail. And you guys You don't trust Sheriff Bianco. You don't. You say he's a Democrat. You really said that. And I did a video on him months ago, and he seemed like a legit guy. I believe he wants to someday run for governor of California. And I got good commentary about him, but you guys don't seem to trust him. Like, what is really going on with this Sheriff Bianco? Is he really like a Democrat? Is he? Anybody know him personally? I mean, speak up for this guy. Tell me what's going on. You guys don't forget to click the like button, share, comment, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell if you haven't already. Also, I want you guys to remember that it's very important to take care of your health. I want you to visit C60 Evo. This is a health and wellness company out of Houston, Texas. They make the best products for your inner and outer health. Please visit the link in the description and input the discount code ChatWithLinda or LindaB. You all be blessed. Love God, your families, these United States of America. And as I always say, march on, warriors.